So what I'm going to do today is talk about the unit circle. We're going to break up lesson sheet number 4 into a couple different videos. This first video, I just kind of want to talk about the basics of what the unit circle is and how to read information off of it. If you did the extra practice sheet for lesson 3, one of the things I asked you to do was to go through the unit circle and add in the radian measures if you were given those degree measures. So this unit circle looks a little bit different than the one that you may have filled in, but the information is the same. So as we start here, we've got 0 degrees, and by the way, I'm down here, right? 0 degrees is 0 radians. 30 degrees is pi over 6 radians. 45 degrees is pi over 4, and it keeps going all the way around the unit circle, okay? All the way back till you get to 360 degrees. That's 1 full revolution. That's 2 pi radians. That's also a full revolution. So remember, radians and degrees are just an alternate way to do measurements. So it's the same thing if you talk about, hey, I'm 5 foot 6 inches versus somebody who talks about I'm 1.3 meters tall. You're the same height. I don't even know if those are equivalent, but I'm going to say they are. You're the same height, but you're just measuring in different units. That's all it is, okay? Now, some of you, when you guys were filling in your unit circle, I think you thought you had to fill in these coordinates. You did not, but thank you for doing it. Let's talk about what these coordinates are, okay? These coordinates represent the points cosine theta, sine theta. Now, you might be looking at it going, what? Huh? Who? What'd she just say? Okay. Cosine theta and sine theta. Now, theta is an angle measure. So, if we look at, let's say, this angle right here. Okay, so I'm highlighting in pink on the unit circle. This angle, if I look from the x-axis and I rotate up, this is my 30-degree angle, which is equivalent to pi over 6. Okay, these are my thetas. So you might see something that says cosine 30 degrees. You might see something that says sine of pi over 6 degrees, something like that, okay? And what it's telling us, this information right here is telling us what cosine and sine of that angle are equal to. So I'm going to zoom in here, for our, let's go with 30 degrees, okay? So if I want to know the cosine of 30 degrees, I'm going to recognize that that's the x value of my ordered pair. So if I look at my ordered pair here, my x value is right there. That would be root 3 over 2. So that's what cosine of 30 degrees is equal to. No, I do not want you to put this in a calculator. No, I do not want you to tell me the decimal equivalent. Tell me the information off the unit circle. Okay? So now, let's say I change it up a little bit and I ask you what's the sine of pi over 6. Okay. Well, pi over 6, remember it's the same thing as 30 degrees, so I'm still looking at the same angle. Okay? But sine is the y value of your ordered pair. So I'm going to come over to my ordered pair here. I'm going to look at my y value. And I'm going to tell you that the sine of pi over 6 is 1/2. Okay? So this is, again, it's using the unit circle for finding specific information. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time here going through these little practice problems right here. And you'll notice some of them are in degrees, some of them are in radians. We have things that are more than 180. That's okay. All right? So I'm going to actually delete all this little extra stuff that I have here so that I can remark it up as I'm doing my little practice. Oh, no, go away. All right. There we go. All right. Unit circle's clean again. So I'm looking for 30 degrees. Right here's 30 degrees. And sine, right? Sine is the y value. So the sine of 30 degrees is 1/2. That's it. Okay, so this is how you're going to be able to use this unit circle to answer these questions, hopefully very quickly, but also you need a unit circle for this. Okay, so just FYI, on the test, we'll make sure that you have a good unit circle attached to the test, so it'll just be a matter of you using it. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. We've got 3 pi over 4. So if this is obviously in radians. If I start here and look at my radians, right here is 3 pi over 4. So 3 pi over 4 is right here, which is this line. Make sure you're using the right lines here. Okay, so that angle measure. And we're looking at cosine. Cosine is the x value. All right, so x value, that ordered pair, tells me that the cosine of 3 pi over 4 is negative root 2 over 2. Okay. And I keep deleting out my highlighter so that it's not getting all confusing as I try and answer more of these questions. All right, so cosine of 225 degrees, I'm going to follow my rotation down here. Here is 225 degrees. It's on this line of the unit circle. I'm looking for cosine. Cosine is the x value. So cosine is negative root 2 over 2. Okay. Let's see if I can get those other couple ones done. All right, 11 pi over 6. 11 pi over 6 is right down here on my unit circle. So here's my 11 pi over 6. It's this line. And I'm looking for sine this time, so sine is the y value. And that would tell me that sine of 11 pi over 6 is negative 1/2. Okay. Delete out those highlighters. Let's see, sine of pi over 4. Pi over 4 is back here. All right. It's that line on the unit circle. Sine is my y value. So sine of pi over 4 is equal to root 2 over 2. All right, last one. All right, cosine of pi. So again, we're in radians here, so I'm going to follow my radians, which are the inside measurements, and pi is right here. Okay, pi is 180 degrees. So if you remember from unit, or not unit, but lesson 3, converting from radians to degrees, the reason we were using pi and 180 as being equal to each other is, or as a fraction, is because they're equal to each other. All right, 180 degrees is pi radians. Pi radians is 180 degrees. All right, last piece here. It says I'm looking for the cosine of pi. Remember that cosine is the x value. So the cosine of pi is negative 1. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how you use your unit circle to find exact values for specific trig functions or trig expressions. All right. Now keep in mind that we're only doing sine and cosine right now, and everything that we're going to ask you to do is going to be on this unit circle. Okay. So make sure you know your unit circle and you have access to a unit circle. Clearly there's one right here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut this video. I will make another video moving down into the next part of lesson 4, which is still using the unit circle, but this time we're going to use the unit circle to actually graph the sine and cosine curves. Okay, I hope this has helped. If you have any questions, send me messages, send me emails, but get me those questions that you have.